Good morning, everyone. The dignitaries, Padma Shri Dr. G.D. Yadav, former Vice Chancellor, Institute of Chemical Technology, deemed to be University Mumbai, Emeritus Professor of Eminence at ICT Mumbai, Honorable Lieutenant General Jagbir Singh, Secretary Somaya Vidyavihar, Dr. N.R. Gilke, Registrar Somaya Vidyavihar University, Dr. Suresh Ukrande, Conference Chair, Principal, KJ Somaya College of Engineering, Dean, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, SVU, Dr. Deepak Sharma, Conference Co-Chair, Vice Principal, KJ Somaya College of Engineering, Dr. Shailesh Nikam, Organizing Secretary, Dr. Makarand Kulkarni, Joint Organizing Secretary, all the delegates, research scholars, faculty, staff and students. I welcome you all to the International Conference on Technologies for Energy, Agriculture and Healthcare. I am delighted to witness a gathering of such brilliant minds dedicated to tackling the world's most pressing challenges. There is a Native American proverb, we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. This conference is an effort to make this earth ecologically a better place through innovative engineering for us and for the upcoming generations. Before we embark on the journey of the day, let us seek the blessings of the divine. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request you all to stand up for Somaya prayer.
पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्चित् जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथा मा गृधः कस्यचिद्धनम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् ॐ प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती वीणामविद्यवतु ॐ प्रोदयित्री सूनृतानां चेतन्ती सुमतीनां यज्ञं दधे सरस्वती ॐ असतो मा सत्तमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै सर्वेऽत्र सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति
Thank you, everybody. I recently came across a quote, prayer should be our lifestyle. not an emergency contact number. Let this divinity we just invoked resonate in our hearts always. Now we will symbolically light up the path towards our sustainable future. I request all the dignitaries to come on the stage for a lamp lighting ceremony. Today we have with us Padma Shri Dr. G.D. Yadav, Honorable Lieutenant General Jagbir Singh, Secretary Somaya Vidya Vihar, Dr. N.R. Gilke, Registrar Somaya Vidya Vihar University, Dr. Suresh Ukrande, Conference Chair, Principal K.J. Somaya College of Engineering, Dr. Deepak Sharma, Conference Co-Chair, Vice Principal, K.J. Somaya College of Engineering, Dr. Shailesh Nikam, Organizing Secretary, Dr. Makarand Kulkarni, Joint Organizing Secretary. I request all the dignitaries to take your seats on the dais, please. As the light of the lamp shines brightly, may it ignite our collective creativity and guide us towards a more ecologically sound future. I again request all the dignitaries to please come on the stage. I now request Honorable Lieutenant General Jagbir Singh, Secretary Somaya Vidya Vihar, to felicitate our chief guest Padma Shri Dr. G.D. Yadav. Thank you, sir. As we move on, I would like to invite Organizing Secretary Dr. Shailesh Nikam for the welcome address.
Good morning, everyone. Chief guest of today's program, Padma Shri Professor G.D. Yadav, Secretary Somaya Vidya Vihar, Honorable Lieutenant General Jagbir Singh, Registrar Somaya Vidya Vihar University, Dr. N.R. Gilke, Principal K.J. Somaya College of Engineering, Dr. Suresh Ukrande, Invited Speaker, Dr. S.D. Sharma, Dr. Nandakumar Kunjge, Vice Principal Dr. Deepak Sharma, HOIs of various institute, deans, HODs, faculty members, and dear participants. It gives me immense pleasure to extend warm welcome to all of you gathered here for the International Conference on Technologies for Energy, Agriculture, and Healthcare, ICTEAH-24. We are delighted to see the esteemed group of individuals who have come together to share the knowledge, insights, and experience. This conference serves a platform for us to collaborate, learn from each other, and explore the new ideas addressing to sustainable development goal pertaining to energy, agriculture, and healthcare. We have received more than 300 submissions for this conference. 254 articles went for the double-blind review. 90 articles were accepted, and finally we have more than 100 participants registered for this conference. We have 5 invited talks from esteemed speaker lined up, along with the 68 oral presentations from authors all across India as well as abroad. Finally, I encourage all of you to actively participate, network, and make the most of this conference. My best wishes to all the presenters. We will acknowledge the efforts of all the authors through Best Paper Award from each domain as well as poster. I, as an organizing secretary, welcome you all for the first International Conference on Technologies for Energy, Agriculture, and Healthcare, ICTEAH-24. Welcome all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikam sir. Now I request Principal Dr. Suresh Ukrande to address the gathering.
Good morning to all of you. Chief guest for today's conference, Padma Shri Professor G.D. Yadav, our Secretary of Somaiya Vidyavihar and Somaiya Ayurvihar, Lieutenant General Jagbir Singh, Dr. Nandkumar Gilke, Registrar of Somaiya Vidyavihar University. In the audience, we have Dr. Vivek Sunnapar, Principal of KJSIT, Dr. Nandkumar Kunjge, Director of KR, Dr. Sharma, Vice Principal Dr. Deepak, Dr. Nikam, Dr. Makarand Kulkarni, HODs, Deans, faculty members, staff and students, and the reviewers of the papers and keynote speaker of various sessions for today and tomorrow, and all researchers, those who have submitted their papers and their papers, whose papers are accepted for this international conference on technologies for energy, agriculture, and healthcare. So this is our first conference, which is organized by KJ Somaiya College of Engineering on a very specific topic. Now, if you see the overall scenario of higher and technical education in India, the university system or the central universities, the universities are basically the two sections are there, affiliated institutes and the departments. Wherein these affiliated institutes, it's a education to all, I mean mass education. It's a teaching basically focused in these affiliated institutions when it was started, and the research was expected and is in the university departments. That is the PG courses and PhD courses, and that was the beginning when the university system started. And the research in the research organizations, research institutes, maybe of central government or state government like BRC and TIFR and so on. So teaching at one place and the research at other place when it was started. But the institutes like IITs, IIMs or NITs, regional colleges, wherein the teaching as well as research was there right from the day one, so that is teaching and learning goes hand in hand there. But the expectations from the society, from the industry, led to the having research in the affiliated institutions. So the only UG program which was there in the beginning, then it was PG programs were added, PhD programs were added, and many institutions, not only in University of Mumbai or Somaiya Vidyanagar University, newly formed, across India, it is expected that research should be an integral part of the system. Along with the teaching, the research should be there with the UG, even not only with the PG or PhD, but with the UG student. The successful model which we say, that is UG, PG and PhD, wherein the teaching and learning and research goes in hand. So that was the case in case of affiliated colleges, and this college was also part of this University of Mumbai earlier, wherein this UG, PG and PhD was there, and research culture was initiated, inculcated in the beginning, before 2019 even, when PG and PhD courses were started. And in the research center, there are various facilities, faculty members involved in the research, not only PG and PhD students, but even UG students involved in the research. But along with these various facilities for the research, what we felt, we should have a platform for showcasing the talent or present the original research done by the researchers, academicians, industry experts, or from the research organization, to provide a platform at our institute. And that's why we have started this conference, and that is the International Conference on Energy, Agriculture and Healthcare. And if you see the thrust areas, what we have identified at our university, at our institute specifically, that is best. First one is agriculture, second one is healthcare, and third one is energy and environment, and then fifth one is cyber security and automation. So by focusing these three thrust areas, we have decided to go for this conference, and we have started working in November, specifically December more precisely. And in this 2 months, 2 to 3 months, the efforts taken by all the faculty members, organizing committee members, HODs, dean, faculty members, and the response what we got in the very first conference was very encouraging, and this trend will continue. If I tell you in a couple of minutes about the KJSIT, when we started the first conference, I joined there 2016, 2017, immediately after the NAC we have started the conference. It was on a broader topic like ICAST, that is International Conference on Science and Technology, Advances in Science and Technology. So that is the 6th year over there, so it is now going well, sustainable sort of thing. That's what the provost said that time in the 6th inaugural session. Now here we wanted to have some specific domain to be addressed. That's why we have selected energy, agriculture and healthcare, which is the mandate, or which is the mandate that decided by the management level. And the response from the various, not only from Mumbai, Maharashtra, but across the country, right? Some papers are, we have received some papers from other countries also, and we have a speaker from the international domain also. So this is the objective, to provide platform for researchers, academician, industry to come together to have a interaction. They can have a networking, and the participant, those who come here for this conference, they get to know each other, what research is going in the respective domain, and that's how they may get more ideas for their own research work. Now, if I see the main thing about the conference, the publications at the national or international level. The publications at international level. In 2011, India was in 11th position. And in 2023, India reached to the 3rd position. The highest number of publications, of course, are from China. That is more than 10 lakhs, 10 lakhs 40,000 odd figure. And second one is USA, 7 lakhs or so. And India's publications are 3 lakhs plus, 3 lakh 6,000 something. That is the figures from the 2023, and India reached to the 3rd position. If you see the publications of the China, it is approximately 7 times than India. So though we have the numbering 1st, 2nd and 3rd, but we have to go a long way to reach to the, as far as publication count is concerned. And the same thing if I talk about the patents. The highest number again, of course, with the China having 6 lakhs plus public patents, and USA 3 lakh plus, and India's patent, if I am correct, it is approximately 30,000 plus publications. So if you see the number where this 6 plus lakhs, 3 lakhs, and where we 30,000. So, I mean, we have come a long way, still we have to go a long way, and if all the faculty members, students, not only of this institute, but the institutions across India work on various domains of their own interest and contribute, then the publications, count is not important here. At the same time, let me talk about, and here is the authority here, I mean, of this research, chief guest of today's function. Count is, number of publications count is not important, quality of publication is important. It's referred journal, it's citations, H-index and all these things. So that has to be kept in mind, and my appeal to all the researchers, faculty members, students to go for a quality publications, and along with these publications, patents, we can have this various startups at the institute and the copyrights. So the numbers should be increased, but with the quality index. Now, if I talk about the challenges, or rather the sustainable development goals, which are defined by this United Nations. There are 17 sustainable goals. And if I want to talk about only one, that is what is global warming or climate change. And if we talk about these three domains, the energy or agriculture or healthcare. And the topic is technologies for energy, agriculture and healthcare. So before this sustainable development goals, 17 sustainable development goals defined by United Nations, earlier there were 8 millennium development goals. One of them was a poverty. And there was a target, I mean it's across all the nations. So that target was in 90s, poverty rate was in 90 was 36%. And targeted to achieve in 2015 was 18%. Reduce the poverty to the 18%. But with the collective efforts, the target was achieved and poverty was reduced to 12%. So with the collective effort, by utilizing the resources and by using the technologies which were available at that point of time, the target was achieved. So same thing is applicable to this sustainable development goals. And in this, whatever the identified three domains in agriculture, healthcare or energy, if the resources are utilized properly and the technology is applied in various domains, and as we know, this India, it's known for a still agro-based country. So if these problems are identified properly and addressed properly, technology applied properly. Technology, what I mean to say is the various technologies, artificial intelligence, data science, 3D printing, and IoT and so on, which you know very well. So application of this new technologies for addressing the problems of the society is very important, and that's what about the research should evolve, and that is what is expected from each and every faculty of this institute and other institutes across India. So we have provided this platform of international conference to publish the papers of academia, industry and researchers, and specifically young researchers. I hope you will take advantage of it, and today and tomorrow we will have a deliberations on this and a good networking. And as a host of this conference, I wished all of you your best for your conference, and at the same time I appreciate the efforts taken by Dr. Nikam, Dr. Matan Kulkarni, and Dr. Vaibhav Narone, Dr. Nilkamal More and Dr. Ninad for working day and night, and all HODs, deans, vice principal for making this conference a grand success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ukrande sir, for your inspiring words. Next, I would like to invite Registrar Dr. N.R. Gilke to share his thoughts on this occasion.
नमो नमः। वैज्ञानिकाश्च कपिल कणाद सुश्रुतस्ता चरको भास्कराचार्यो वराह मिहिरसुधि नागार्जुनो भारद्वाज आर्यभट्टो वसुर्वदा ध्यायो वेंकटरामाश्च विज्ञा रामानुजादया. The shloka refers to some of the scientists of ancient India. The Kapil, Kanad, Sushrut, Bhaskar, Nagarjun, Bharadwaj, Aryabhat, Venkatraman and Ramanujan. These are the scientists of ancient India, and I am happy and honored that we have amongst us our chief guest, Dr. G.D. Yadav, I can say the young scientist of modern India. So, sir, thank you very much for gracing this particular occasion. Lieutenant General Jagbir Singh, Honorable Secretary, Somaya Vidya Vihar, Principal Dr. Suresh Ugrande, my colleague Dr. Nikam and Dr. Makaran Kulkarni, all the HOIs and HODs of Somaya Vidya Vihar and Somaya Vidya Vihar University, the associate deans, the faculty, staff, students and researchers. सम्मेलनस्य विषयः ऊर्जा कृषि स्वास्थ्य रक्षण क्षेत्रे तंत्रज्ञानम. The conference is on energy, agriculture, healthcare and the technologies, techniques in these fields. I would like to say that ऊर्जा प्राप्नोति मनुजः तत्वेभ्य प्रकृते सदा चतुर्विधश्च आहारम कृषि कार्याश्च लभ्यते प्रसन्नात्मेन्द्री मनोरूपम स्वास्थ्यम महानिधि तस्मादेतत्रयं नित्यं तंत्रज्ञानेन रक्षयेत. The human being always gets the energy from the elements of nature. 4 types of foods are obtained from the agricultural domain. The balanced state of soul, mind and senses that brings happiness to us is called as the health, and which is the greatest treasure for us. Therefore, one should protect these 3, the energy, agriculture and health, with the help of technology. India has around 6,64,369 villages, and majority of employment generated in rural areas comes from the agriculture domain. New development will run through the development path of the Indian villages. Dear researchers, you will be presenting your research work today or in these 2 days. You must have definitely done the literature review, but I should mention here that or you can say that we all know that the oldest surviving literature work in the whole world is the Vedas. Yes, I am talking about the Indian knowledge system. The classical literature in India are 4 Vedas, 6 Vedangas, that is Vyakarana, Jyotish, Shiksha, etc. Itihasa, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Puranas, Dharma Shastra, that is Smritis, Darsana, Nyaya, that is logic, and the 4 Upavedas, the Ayurveda, healthcare, Dhanurveda, archaeology, Gandharva Veda, the music, dance, drama, and the Sthapatya Veda is the architecture. Ancient India was the powerhouse of astronomy, mathematics and many other fields of science and technology. One should know that the grammar of Sanskrit is rule bound, formula bound and logical, which makes it highly appropriate to write algorithms. This grammar also makes Sanskrit suitable for machine learning and artificial intelligence. I would just like to narrate the 13th century book by Yashodhara, Swahastena Krutam Samyak Jarana Shrutam Maya Swahastena Bhava Yogena Krutam Samyak Shrutena Hi Dhatu Bandha Strutiyo So Swahastena Kruto Maya. The writer writes in his book in the front page, whatever I learned from experts and whatever I confirm by experimentation, only that I have included in this book. And whatever could not be confirmed has not been included in my book. Further, he states that my students should confirm by performing experiments by their own hands. Those who follow this is a true teacher and students. All others are just drama actors. I think whatever ancestors have written, we should try to follow. Why I spoke about Indian knowledge system, because in the Somaya Vidyavihar University, we do have this particular center which has been established. But long ago, we have also established the KJ Somaya College of Dharma Studies. Okay. So when we are saying Dharma, it is not related to some religion. It is for all. It is the survival of mankind. I once again congratulate KJ Somaya College of Engineering, Dr. Ukrandey and his team for organizing this Sangoshti, that is conference. And I wish all the best to the researchers for their work that they will be presenting. Thanks a lot. Namo Namah.
Thank you, Gilke sir, for such an informative speech. Now I invite Honorable Lieutenant General Jagbir Singh, Secretary, Somaya Vidyavihar, to address the audience.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Yadav, dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries off the dais, delegates, members of the faculty and students. Gives me great pleasure to be here today amongst you all for this inaugural session of the Conference on Technology in Agriculture, Healthcare and Energy. And being amongst all you academics and scientists gives me a great feeling. Being a combat soldier, spent 39 years in the Indian Army. But technology is a part and parcel of every form of life today, whether it be the armed forces, whether it be the industry, whether it be the healthcare industry, anything. And I'm glad that we're touching upon a subject which is all three things that we're talking about technology, which is energy, agriculture and healthcare, are important for the survival of mankind. And as Dr. Gilke talked about ancient knowledge of India, I mean, we were a very ancient civilization, one of the oldest in the world. And as things were there, we discovered a lot of things. But over a period of time, things went into the background as people came in. And thereafter, the revival of technology started with the Industrial Revolution. And we, after independence, we were a country newly independent. We imported technology to grow, to build up our manufacturing sector so that we could start off on our feet again as a new country, newly independent. We weren't a new country, we were an old civilization. But yet, over a period of time, we had to import technology, and we today reached a stage, thanks to the denial of certain types of technology by the Western powers. And I talk in particular to the cryogenic engine, which some decades ago was denied to us because we were not members of the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And cryogenic engines were essential for the booster motors of rockets. And we were going into missile technology, and that's the time when the Western powers said either you sign the NPT or we will not provide you this technology. And we went ahead and created our own technology. And today, we are so we do not have to depend upon the world to give us what is required for our requirements. Yet, interdependence in technology is essential. And when we talk about energy, we're still based on fossil fuel energy. And fossil fuel energy has its own problems and issues. We've seen global warming, we've seen climate change happening, which if we continue in the same way, after a couple of decades, there is a danger of the water levels rising, and you could hear, must have been reading, even parts of Mumbai could be underwater. Netherlands would definitely be underwater. So we got to take steps now to ensure that we go on for cleaner forms of energy. Energy, even fossil fuel energy is there, but we don't have to use that kind. We need technology which is simpler, which is less expensive and more effective. We're looking at wind power, we're looking at solar power, we're looking at nuclear power. All that, the nuclear power part of it, though it provides a lot of energy, but is expensive. And it comes with its own collateral issues. Of if there is a minor leak also, it can cause havoc amongst the populace in that area. As far as agriculture is concerned, well, in India particularly, you find the land holdings decreasing. The fertility of the soil over a period of time is also going down. Where the soil was meant to have 2 crops in a year, we are taking 3 to 4 crops in a year. And therefore, we need to now take steps to ensure that we get, the technology gives us the ability to grow more while remaining within what nature gave us. Right. Like Gandhiji said, that there's enough to meet the needs of mankind, but not enough to meet the greed of mankind. And therefore we need to be careful as to how we use our resources. Healthcare, important. You find more and more new types of diseases coming up. I wonder whether it's a result of scientific discovery, because all these things must have been there over the years earlier also. But possibly because of the use of numerous other things that we are using, our vegetables today may be contaminated. They are not as pure as what they were earlier. The environment is contaminated, and therefore there are a whole lot of new kinds of diseases which are taking place, which are coming into the world. But technology is trying to, keep pace with what is happening. And diseases which were considered untreatable some years ago are now in the realm of being treated. And people talk in terms of artificial intelligence going to overtake us. It's a very frightening scenario when you look at something to say AI is going to overtake us. And technology is growing at such a rapid pace that we may not be able to keep pace with it. But I firmly believe that man is the brain behind the technology. And the day you surrender your supremacy to a machine, that is doomsday. And therefore, the machines and the technology, etc., that is created by us must be controlled by us. And in a manner that is for the benefit of mankind and for the benefit of society at large. And I'm so glad that we are here today amongst you all. India has, I am firm, I've worked abroad, I've worked with a number of international agencies, but I can say for sure that there is no brain to match the Indian brain. It is one of the sharpest in the world. So in a country today, we have the intellectual resource, the intellectual capital, and the resources to match it. And therefore, there is no reason why, with sustained hard work and proper application of our minds and resources, we shouldn't be able to get to the place which our country deserves to be, right in front to lead the world. And I'm glad that we have these kind of conferences where you all get together, share your ideas, share your views, which will ultimately lead to betterment of society. I compliment the College of Engineering, the principal and his team, for organizing this conference. and all the delegates who are here, people who've written their papers, and I won't compare right now papers, what the principal talked about, number of papers in China, number of papers in the US, and what we have. China is a forced society. They would have been put at gunpoint and say, you will write a paper. All right. And as far as we are concerned, but it is important, when you do some work, you do some research, it must come from within. And why, if you see the number of papers, etc., which are less in our country, it is because over a period of time we become used to an easy way of life. If my life is running smoothly, why should I bother? Why should I take the extra trouble? But that is what counts. That extra trouble is what takes you ahead. Either you stay where you are, if you're very satisfied with life, then you stay where you are. But if you want to reach somewhere, you have to take that trouble. And I'm sure with everybody here, the younger generation, as I call the youth, the students here, they're the future of our country. And with dedication, we will be where we deserve to be. I wish all the delegates and all of you fruitful deliberations in these 2 days, and all the best, and have a wonderful time. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your motivational speech. Now I request all the dignitaries on the dais to release the souvenir of our first international conference on technologies for energy, agriculture, and healthcare. Now I request Dr. Deepak Sharma, Vice Principal KJSE, to introduce our chief guest, Padma Shri Dr. G.D. Yadav.
Respected dignitaries, conference delegates, my faculty colleagues and dear participants and dear students. It is my pleasure and privilege to introduce our chief guest, Dr. G.D. Yadav, a Padma Shri awardee and National Science Chair at SERB Government of India. He is a distinguished figure in chemical engineering. He is former Vice Chancellor of Institute of Chemical Technology, deemed to be University Mumbai, and Emeritus Professor of Eminence at ICT Mumbai, with over 515 original research papers, 120 granted national and PCT patents, and 8 new patent applications, 3 books, 16,500 plus citations, and an H index of 67. He is a trendsetter in his field. Dr. Yadav is a JC Bose National Fellow and is elected as an international member to the US National Academy of Engineering for his work advancing research, innovation and education in green chemistry, catalysis, nanotechnology and chemical engineering. Dr. Yadav is internationally recognized by over 125 prestigious and rare awards as an academician, researcher and innovator. His patent work on net zero goal, green hydrogen production technology, carbon dioxide refineries, and valorization of waste biomass and waste plastics is internationally acclaimed. Dr. Yadav is listed in top 2% of scientists by Stanford University in 2023, 22, and 21. In fact, his expertise places him in top 0.2% of researchers globally and number 1 in the field of physical chemistry. He is also among the top 2% of Indian scientists recognized on the global stage. He has guided numerous postdoc and PhD students, and he is also a consultant to industry for over 40 years. He is on the board of 6 listed companies as an independent director, such as Godrej Industries, Aarti Industries, Clean Science and Technology, Make Money Organics, Pagaria Industries, and Survival Technology. Clearly, Dr. Yadav's impact resonates across academia, research, industrial sectors. Coming to the latest news, just day before yesterday, he is one of the top 100 scientists of Asia in 2023 by Asian Scientist magazine. On behalf of our college, on behalf of our university, I once again welcome Dr. G.D. Yadav for this conference. Thank you very much.
I speak on behalf of everybody present here and watching us online. It's a great privilege, sir, to have you here today with us. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for none other than Dr. G.D. Yadav.
Good morning, Suprabhatam. Dr. Lieutenant General Jagbir Singh ji, Dr. Suresh Ukulande, Dr. Deepak Sharma, Dr. Makarand Kulkarni, Dr. Gilke, Dr. Nikam, invited distinguished speakers in the audience, fellow delegates, teachers, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm indeed very happy to be here this morning to participate in this very important international conference on technologies, advances in technologies in energy, agriculture, and health sciences or health sector. In fact, while I was listening to the prayer of your Vidyapit, this has been sung for a number of years now. It has many things what your conference is talking about. Mukam karoti vachalam pangu langayate girim. Now in today's health sector, it has become possible. Even the, deaf can hear, the dumb can sing, and the blind can see the world. Or somebody who is handicapped, now we cannot use that word handicapped, it is disabled, differently abled person can walk the mountains. That is what this prayer says. So definitely, this has become possible because of advances in healthcare sector. Okay, that is one part of the story in that particular, stanza of that prayer. Sarve sukhina santu, sarve santu niramaya. So everybody should be happy, right? That's what it says. And everybody should be happy, content and whatnot. So is it possible? So I was also listening very carefully to Dr. Gilke, and he mentioned some of these ancient scriptures and what they have said. And one of the very nice things he said is that unless you do experiments and verify, the propositions, you cannot. Oh, welcome, Dr. Shergaonkar. Hello, how are you? So, it is very interesting, thought he said. So yes, experiments have to be done. On today's world, you can do simulations, computer simulations, and go closer to experiments. So that is what is happening now. But simulations are very important. Ladies and gentlemen, so because this is a three-part conference, so I will talk on three parts separately. So look at the energy sector. Entire world is talking about net zero. Why are they talking about net zero? Because of the carbon dioxide emissions which we have. If you look at the CO2 emissions and the concentration particularly, in January 2020, just before the pandemic began, it was 410 ppm. And you know that there was practically no economic activity. We were, all, glued to the TV or sitting at home, not doing anything. But still, some economic activity was going on, and so we added 2 ppm during the year. So exactly after 1 year in January 2021, it became 412 ppm. The concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere decides what economic activity is going on, and that is based on this fossil fuels, use of fossil fuels. Whether for energy or materials and fuels and whatnot. And quite interestingly, on a particular day in April 2020, that is 10th of April 2020, the price of crude oil became negative. It was minus $10. Can you believe that? It has never happened in the history of mankind. You have to pay for storing that crude oil because you produce more than what you could have. And so there were 7 fracking companies in Houston, Texas. They were going to invest $7 trillion, $7 billion, I must correct myself, in this fracking business. And so what they say, now there is no business. Nobody knew what is going to happen to the world. So they just dropped the idea of investing in energy sector. They said no fracking. And there were pundits in energy sector. They said that, okay, unless the cost of barrel rises to $60 a barrel, there is no future for this hydrocarbon industry. And you know what happened. So I tell you, predictions can go haywire. Predictions are never right, I'm telling you that. Predictions are never right. Whatever I say today and I say, I'm an authority, I can predict, tomorrow I may be proved wrong. Because world is, advancing at such a fast rate, nobody knows what is going to happen tomorrow. So one of the things is that, they said that we have to control or contain carbon dioxide emissions, right? That is one of the dangers, what we have, this global warming and what sorts of things. And how it is going to affect agriculture and healthcare, I'm going to tell you that also. So, in 2023, by December, we emitted something like 36.4 gigatons of carbon dioxide. That is, gigaton is a billion ton. So that is very dangerous. And on a particular date, that is 18th of May 2023, there was a news by United Nations Meteorological Organization, World Meteorological Organization. You know what it said? It said, we are going to breach this 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature rise by 2027 and not the year 2100. So it is very bad. That means we were planning, according to Paris Accord or Agreement of 2015, all nations were supposed to control the carbon dioxide emissions, and so that the temperature of the globe does not rise beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2100. Now that we are already going to cross it. So you can imagine, we have to plan everything and develop technology, not tomorrow, it is yesterday. By 2027, we will have havoc. I'm telling you that. So we have to have everything, all new innovations, all new ideas, whether you call startup companies or whatever, that has to be done immediately. And no country of the world can afford to relax, whether it is advanced nations like United States of America or the European Union, or for that matter India, because now we are 1.42 billion people. So we are the most populous country. So we are not going to get any technology from the Western one. We have to develop our own technology. This is where the importance of education, tertiary education particularly, is going to the fore, because it is said, Susan Huckfeld, the former president of MIT, the first lady president of MIT, she said, she is credited to have generated $3 billion funds. So she said, and she's a medical doctor, you know what she said? MIT cannot say that we are number one, so we should relax. He said, we have to collaborate with others. And this is one of the things in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals. Collaboration is one of the last goals, 17 goals. So she said we must collaborate. And why? She says universities are the engines of economic growth. If universities do not develop new technologies, new knowledge, we have no future. And believe me, 1/3 of the US GDP is from two major universities, 1/3. The technology is developed by their alumni and the industries and faculty. That is Stanford, Silicon Valley, and this Boston. Okay, these two places. So you can look at the history of technology, and particularly in United States, these two. So universities are very, very important. So we cannot neglect university education. Government has to give all the things possible so that new knowledge is generated. The definition of university is creation of new knowledge and advancing that knowledge. You can always read the old yellow notes, okay? The students are not going to be happy. These days the students are much smarter than the teachers. Because they know they have to just Google search, and they can catch the professor on the wrong foot. That means the professor job today is very tough. You cannot, just because you don't have any job, you become professor, as gone other days. Right? The student will respect the teacher who is updated with the knowledge and open for discussions. That is what is going to happen. So here, what I'm trying to tell you in energy sector also, so even only 73% of the world's nations have the so-called net zero goal. 27% do not have anything. Either they are poor or they cannot technologically, catch up with the others. In that 25% CO2 emissions, that 25% is due to China. 12% is due to United States. 8% is due to European Union. The remaining is, one of them is India. And we emitted 2.622 billion tons of carbon dioxide. So net zero, what our Prime Minister said, Honorable Prime Minister, that in that COP26, he said we will do it by 2070. China said 2060. Advanced nations said 2050. So my personal belief is that we can do much before that. We have to believe our scientists and industries, we can do it. And many companies in Europe and rest of the world are talking about net zero. They have given a target to themselves. Some of them say by 2035. Some of our Indian companies, like for example, Indian Oil says by 2045 we will do that. So net zero is not the solution. I must tell you that also. Net negative is the solution, because in 2020 we emitted only 30 gigatons and we went to 36.2. We have to bring it down to less than 10 gigatons. Then only that net zero goal will be achieved. So remember, that means we require decarbonization technologies. So one of the things while reading my biodata, you said, yes, I work in that area. So carbon dioxide will be our refineries. By 2054, we will not have any crude oil. So what are you going to do for our materials, fuels, whatnot? So carbon dioxide. So that is so-called, if you understand chemistry, it is C1 chemistry. So we can go from carbon dioxide to methanol, dimethyl ether, formic acid, hydrocarbons, methane, LPG, name it. And the same LP, because, for example, dimethyl ether is a very good substitute for, LPG. And the same infrastructure can be used. So we don't have to create another infrastructure. Methanol is a very good fuel. And methanol is also very good feedstock for chemical and allied industry. So is the case with dimethyl ether. And the best part is hydrogen. So I always say that we talk about Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Our Trimurti today will be solar energy, wind energy, and hydrogen energy. But I call hydrogen as the prime devas, Prathama Devata. Why? Because solar energy and wind energy will give me energy, but hydrogen will give me fuels and materials. So in converting carbon dioxide or decarbonization, it is hydrogen which is going to play the most important role. In other words, what it means that in future my simple feedstock is going to be water and air. So I take nitrogen out of air. You mentioned about cryogenics, okay? Either you do cryogenics or pressure swing adsorption, take nitrogen, take hydrogen from water. That is called green hydrogen. So remember, hydrogen is colorless, but we give them colors. Why? We say green hydrogen. That means the technology does not pollute. There is no carbon dioxide coming out of that. So that means it has to use green energy to produce that, because all these technologies require hydrogen. Blue hydrogen means at least 90% of the carbon dioxide which you generate during this, typically it is generated by steam methane reforming. So 1 ton of hydrogen in steam methane reforming produces 11 tons of carbon dioxide. So I have to capture at least 90%. So CCU, yes, means carbon capture, utilization, storage, those technologies. So normally you can store that carbon dioxide in some oil well, maybe depleted oil well, you can produce more oil, or convert that carbon dioxide into something useful. That is what I say. That is what I research on, okay? So that is one part of the story. So hydrogen, it plays a very important role. And why I said water? Because the oxygen also plays a very important role. So when we don't have any crude oil, no coal, our coal will last us only for 200 years. When we don't have no coal, so where is the carbon coming from? So that has to come from biomass, waste biomass. And in their hydrogenation, hydrogenolysis, oxidation, these play a very important role in converting into fuels and materials. So that is why hydrogen, as I said, is a very important prime devata. Okay? So this is one part of the story. Same is the case, we have some stupid ideas in India. I'm sorry to use this word stupid. You may call it unparliamentary, but I tell you why I say so. We want to ban everything. If some problem is there, ban it. So a lot of people drink alcohol, so ban it. Right? The states where alcohol is banned, more liquor is sold there than where it is freely available. And why do they do that? Because we like to break the rule and law. So there is a red signal, we will go through it. And the police will never stand before the signal, after the signal, because he wants to make money. In other words, whenever there is a ban, the authorities make money. It is illicit business, illegal business, that is flourishes. So when you say plastic ban, I'm telling you that because I work on that area, depolymerization and recycling and upcycling and downcycling. What happens? You say, okay, plastic ban. What was the genesis of plastic? It was a solution to stop denudation of forests, because pulp and paper is required to make paper. And a lot of this. So again, that time also there was a problem in 30s and 40s. That global warming will happen if we go on cutting trees. Right? So instead of that, they said, oh, let us have plastic. And the plastic was a God-given gift to mankind. But then what happened? Technology advances at such a rate, the plastic became thinner and thinner and thinner and stronger and stronger and stronger. So one bag of plastic what Bhajiwala gives you in the market, it costs nothing, not even 1 paisa, believe me. So what happened? Because it is cheap, you start throwing it. And you go to the bhaiya, say, Bhaiya ji, give me. So he says, okay, madam, take 4 or 5 bags. For him, there is no value. For you have no value, what do? You dump it. That is how we have created plastic pollution, because it is free, cheap. So supposing instead of that, I charged 20 rupees per bag, refundable deposit, refundable. So for example, this PET bottle, irrespective of size, shape, weight, this bottle is 20 rupees. After we go out these bottles will disappear. Because somebody will return it, get 20 rupees per bottle. Because we attach value to that waste. Since waste is not valued, we are polluting a lot of our environment because it is not valued. Nothing free is appreciated, believe me, including advice. If you charge fat fee, you become a very popular, consultant like me. And they say, okay, Professor Yadav, come, we want to solve this problem. But if I don't charge fee, they will not listen to anything. This is what happens. So because it is free, we are polluting. So we talk about microplastic and all sorts of NGOs are there. So I say, even if there is a straw, let there be 20 rupees on that. So you will return it and take your 20 rupees back. So what I said, supposing, have you ever seen newspaper being thrown just like outside? The housewife will keep it nicely, make a bundle of it. Sometimes and it fetches a lot of money. The content is, is not worth, but the raddi is more worth than the content. Who reads Bombay Times and all? All pictures. You have never seen those guys. These are paid pictures, right? Page 3 pictures. So you raddi you sell nicely. Suppose another boy comes to your home and said, madam, it's a milk pouch, right? Give me that. He gives you 20 rupees for that pouch. He will take 5% commission because you are lazy. And so he gets, so digital economy can be promoted. Plastic recycling can be done because 80% of the money is lost on segregation of plastic into variety. There are 7 different types of plastics. Once again, hydrogen comes to our rescue. Hydrogenation or hydrogenolysis of any mixed plastic can give me hydrocarbons, and correspondingly I may have hydrochloric acid, HCl, ammonia, H2S, water. So remember, I generate a feedstock for tomorrow's chemical industry. Whatever pollution we did before is one part of the story, but we can stop the pollution index by just, I told this also, on your campus you have this policy, no plastic pollution, and you charge, whoever is controlling the canteen, tell him charge the bottle is 10 rupees plus 20 rupees deposit. I can assure you everything will come back. Your campus will be clean. Your campus will be clean. So this is one part of the story where unnecessarily we are banning things when technology is the solution. So in all these cases, it is technology and technology alone is going to give us the solution and not banning something. Ban is a bad idea. I'm telling you that. You make people get used to it and then you ban it. Better technology is solution to previous technology. That is what the history of technology tells us. We are always, mankind is very smart. There now you said whether we are going to play God with AI, right? So AI can be made use of, right? AI is actually algorithm based. So you have huge data, so data analytics and whatnot you talk about. Yeah, so AI can be used in any area, you have huge data, and then you ask for solution. If the data are wrong, you will get a wrong solution. If the data, so you have very nice, well documented data, okay, on which you can swear, definitely AI will give a good answer, not otherwise. Otherwise it is not going to. Now look at the agricultural side of it. You go to Delhi these days, you cannot land in Delhi because it is so foggy. Air quality index 400 plus. Why? Because one part of the story is that the farmers in surrounding area, they burn their agri-waste. which is a very valuable source of income. Carbon is not required in the air. Carbon is required in the soil. So the soil quality is decided by the carbon. So you have to fix carbon inside. So whether you have better agriculture or whatever, that is required. So that particular agri-waste, because it is typically cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin, I can once again hydrogenate it and create variety of chemicals and compounds. So the farmers don't know that. Our problem is that when we want to help the problem, nothing free is appreciated. Once again, I'm telling you. They should collect this agri-waste, compact it, densify it, cut into small pieces and take it somewhere else for processing. That is a better solution than giving them something. Right? You say that make societies, kachara societies, argument sake, where you collect this waste, because it cannot be processed in locality, take it somewhere else. Transportation, because densification is required, otherwise it's a huge volume. That is the solution to stop this problem of going to Delhi. This is one of the ways where we must convert nothing is waste, system engineering approach. Everything, material go inside or energy goes inside, whatever comes out, only useful things will be taken. The others, co-products, byproducts should be recycled. And that is so recycle engineering is going to be the very important thing in tomorrow's world, where you do it chemically, biologically, okay, or physically, recycling. That is what I tell chemical engineering students. That is what is future. Recycle engineering. Otherwise, we'll require 3 more Earths. We don't have that much. Where are the minerals? You talked about lithium and batteries and all, right? So battery also, when the battery capacity goes down to 80%, EVs. Now another interesting aspect, EV. If your electricity is coming for coal, it is CV, it is not EV. Only thing is there is no pollution near your vehicle or the city, but somewhere else you have polluted it. So if you look at the globe as a whole, so there also 80% when the battery capacity goes down, it should be used for storage. It may not be there in your vehicle. So China is number 1 in that, 9% growth rate in China of that business. United States is about 6%. So Bhangarwalas have a lot of good business, good days ahead. Collect anything and everything. You have to, I'm not joking, you have to reuse the material. Nothing is a waste. Nothing is waste. There is no bad student or waste student. I'm telling you that also. You make them waste. Why don't you teach them nicely that they are good? Everybody has a talent. So this is what I'm saying. Waste. So that is one part of the story. And in healthcare and also in agriculture, sensors are going to play a very important role. Now what is happening? Temperature of the globe is rising. The quality of breed, the seed and cereals, whatever you have, everything is changed now. And you said now we are taking 4 crops. So what means we have to have more from less. Our tillable land is going down. Our population is increasing, going 8 billion plus now. So tillable land means you have to get more productivity. Can you do it without genetic engineering, genetically modified things? So you have to have genetic modification. Yes, you can simulate, you can look at the ill effects of that, but that is required. Sensors are going to be very useful to farmers also. So you send something, which crop requires water, what time, or which time it requires the fertilizer to be given. We might say, oh, I can do organic kheti and all that. It's all a humbug thing, I'm telling you that also. It is, in a small place where there are no people, you can have it. But we have increased our population where we have to go for additional, sources for our food and feed and whatnot. So chemical fertilizers will be there. But the problem is that even pesticide, they want to kill the pest on the spot. It has to be given some 72 hours to die. So this is what is happening. We misuse, overuse the chemicals, pesticides. So if you have sensors, if you have that thing, use drone technology in agriculture, okay? This is where all these advances in this is going to happen. Now in healthcare, non-invasive technologies. Right? Your watch is one of the best things, and the digital watch, your Apple Watch or whatever, iWatch. Correct? It measures everything. We had not imagined it 10 years ago. So sensors collecting this data. Somebody, your doctor may be sitting in United States but making use of this tech like AI, ML, IoT, name it, everything. So all these technologies are going to help us in future. Believe me, we used to hear in our scriptures and that this fellow lived so many years, right? Human body is designed in such a way that we can live for 150 years. The only problem is that we abuse our body. We don't exercise, we drink, you do all sorts of things, And therefore, we are not able to live. But now everything is replaceable in our body. Biocompatible materials. We can replace everything, replace nose, eyes, teeth, everything, right? These are biocompatible materials. So sometimes, you wonder, in our body, naturally born body, by the time we die, 95% can be replaced. Even the brain can be replaced. Even heart can be outside. I give examples, like a kidney, very nice example. So how membrane technologies are helping, how, filtration is helping, all those things. The best example of chemical engineering is the human body. So if this is going to happen, we will live more than 100 years. There are more septuagenarian, octogenarian, nanogenarian, whatever, more 100 plus people will be there. The only problem will be they have to remain healthy and enjoy life. They can play with WhatsApp, that's a different matter. But they can start another life, another career. They can have another career because human life, just extending the life is not going to be useful, but making it enjoyable. So you can have another career. You can do another PhD. You can correct another, profession. That is going to happen because many parts, these health care technologies are going, to next direction. So you can now, for example, we are interested in Janmapatri, right? Horoscope, Zulwa Lagna, okay? But now genome, if you know your genome, you can also find out when you are likely to get which disease, which will be the cause of your death. So several years ago, maybe about 15 years ago, I had a German friend who met me, and he said he had his genome done for some 100 euros, not much, 100 euros. And that genome said that he will go blind after some 5-6 years. So he started taking precautionary measures, and he saved himself from that blindness. So the genome which we do, that can tell us what are likely to be the causes of our death in future, whether it is cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, things can be assured. Now we are talking about stem cell therapy and whatnot. So science has advanced tremendously. So, in that connection, we say, because Dr. Gilke talked about some Sanskrit slokas, I will tell you something else. Nainam chandanti vastrani nainam dahati pavaka na cha kledayante ape na soshayati marutam. Right? Atma, the soul, never dies. It goes from one body to another body. That's what Bhagavad Gita says. Now, if 95% of the body is changed, skin, nose, hip, everything, has the soul not transferred into another body? Which you can see through science. Right? Yes, we say that is our philosophy, Hindu philosophy, but I'm just telling you, science has made everything possible. Advances in digital technology, energy technology, healthcare, agriculture, name it, it has become, life will be more enjoyable in future than people think. People always crib about difficulties. I don't believe in that. Their life is always going to be better and better and better. We'll be smarter and smarter and smarter. They say the size of our brain is increasing, our capacity is increasing. So things are happening. Things are happening. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you will have very wonderful discussions here. I had asked him whether I should make a formal presentation, or he gave me a choice, do whatever you like. So I said it is better to keep engaged with the audience by giving extempore lecture than having a formal lecture. I could have given a formal lecture, but that is what it is. So I'm very happy that you are doing it for the first time. As I said before, universities are harbingers of new knowledge. Okay, so you have to create that new knowledge and never underestimate it. Never underestimate your capacity, your faculty's capacity. Sometimes, professors are only, I work in this particular college, very small college, management. You do it now. Why are you, who is stopping you? And your cribbing habit is, oh, my HOD is not good. I have seen a number of people saying, yes, my HOD is not good. So I used to tell my colleagues, stand before the mirror and see who is the person whom you should blame. Right? Nobody is stopping you. In today's world, nobody is stopping you. You can make use of technology, you can do simulation, you can do this, you can do... See, there are two ways, idea-driven research and instrument-driven research. If you have instruments, you can do anything, right? But if you have idea, you don't have idea, you cannot do anything. So it is important that this particular conference will bring people together. They will exchange ideas, okay? And when they have lunch or dinner, they will, try to understand each other. And collaboration, I said, you must collaborate. You must collaborate with others. And interdepartmental collaborations. So mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering. I used to say this, biology must be taught to all engineering students. I'm saying it again. What is DNA computing and all? If you don't understand biology, if you don't understand biomaterials, what is mechanical engineering going to do there? Right? So I think it is important that conferences like this should be organized frequently. And this is one of the ways of promoting your university also. Not giving advertisement on TV and saying we are number 4 or number 3 along with other IITs, give their names. That's not correct. When people come and see your campus, they appreciate it more. They come to know what is the strength of this. So with these few words, once again I compliment Dr. Ukrande and his team and inviting me for this small talk. I hope you have enjoyed. Normally there is no question for the chief guest, The chief guest can say anything and get away with that. But if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. You have any questions? Yeah, look, I generated some interest in you. Okay, go ahead.
How to separate lignin from biomass?
Oh, very good. Alkaline method, then acidic method. You can do ionic liquids also. So cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin can be separated. And I jokingly say this, since you asked the question. I say I don't have to grow sugarcane. I can make sugar from C5 and C6 from the hemicellulose. And that is there in all plants. I can make sugar.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, it was going on that from government side also. Roads are to be manufactured using waste plastics.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
Also.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I
So
must
what
tell you
happened to
also.
that later on?
I will tell you modestly. Honorable Nitin Gadkari, he appreciates what I do in ICT, and I've developed hydrogen technologies. I can say that green hydrogen I can produce in less than $1. I have a very big plant, pilot plant going on in Goa. So, and he mentioned my name in Rajya Sabha on 6th of December. You know, what they are saying, because you have this plastic, if you heat it up to 180 degrees C, it can mingle very nicely with the tar and all, and it can become part of. So the plastic can be converted, the waste can be converted into that. This is well known. It is not that, it's not a new discovery. You have to just mix it, bring it, and then pour it. And it gives very nice durability to the road. So that is being done. His ministry is doing that. Now I tell you what his ministry is doing. And I'm a part of that committee. That is hydrogen infrastructure. We are going to have a big hydrogen infrastructure. So, so how to use hydrogen as a fuel? Because hydrogen can be used as a fuel in IC engine. It can be used in two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler. Okay? It can be used fuel cells. You can generate electricity by using hydrogen. So this is most of he himself is driving a hydrogen-driven car, which is fuel cell based. Okay? So hydrogen, is going to be a savior, as I said. Plastic is what I say, I can get the thing back because I can get hydrocarbons, no? When I hydrogenate or hydrogenolysis, all this plastic backbone is broken into monomers, oligomers, okay? And then it can be used for making other chemicals, materials and whatnot, okay? Yeah, that is one part of the story. Remember, we have for example, debris, construction debris. We have to build another building. So why make a heap of that? That can also be recycled, reused, construction debris. So one part is people say, okay, generate electricity, so or generate, make steam and generate boilers, so burn that plastic, things like that. But there are better ways of doing it. Look, India is aiming for 500 gigawatt of energy by 2030. And they said 45% will be, controlled, 45% CO2 emissions. 50% of the energy will be renewable by 2030. India should go for higher. That is 900 gigawatt. And in 2050, the world as a whole will require something like 820 million metric tons of hydrogen, or in terms of energy, 49,000 terawatt hours. I am saying to the government, 20% of that should be made by India. Made in India. That is, that is what is required. 10,000 terawatt hours of energy. India should aim for it. We have to be the leaders in the world. Okay, we have to be leaders in the world, and this is where technology development is very, very important. Indigenous technology. So startup companies, this and that. I'm not a spokesperson of the government, but I'm telling you that this is what is required. We can generate many jobs if we have our own, startup companies and things like that. Energy is a great area, I must tell you. Any other question? Yeah, please. Why, about housewife or what? About housewives collecting newspapers, no?
Yeah, I'm doing that at my home. Okay, sir, good morning. My name is Preeta Patil, and I'm one of the research scholars from D.Y. Patil College.
Which D.Y. Patil? There are so many D.Y. Patil.
D.Y. Patil College of Navi Mumbai.
Navi Mumbai. Okay.
Yeah. I have gone through your profile and it was very impressive. But in person, I must say that what the knowledge you have shared right now, it was very useful and thoughtful too. So, sir, you have mentioned one point that young researcher should look to upgrade our company by using technology and science. So, I would like to hear from you what aspiration we should have so that we can have more innovations. We can continue even after getting the degree of PhD. We can continue our research to give more fruitful to our nation.
Actually, you know what? There are two types of problems which you normally face. Basic research and applied research. A lot of people do applied research, but basic research, remember, Government of India should spend a lot of money on basic research. Yeah, you can do applied research and also collaboration. You may not be expert in every area. So 4 or 5 departments identifying a problem and then working on that is very important. And never give up attitude. You should not give up because you may have difficulties. You see, there is no overnight solution for any problem. Technology is never developed overnight. Nobody can claim it. So I teach green chemistry and engineering. So I jokingly tell my students, nobody is interested in that green chemistry. Everybody, Shedji is interested in green note, dollar. If you give him more dollars and you simultaneously solve the problem of the environment, you have done the job. But Shedji is not interested in that. He doesn't care. He says, can I make more money? So you have to say, you will make more money, you will have less environmental pollution. That is what is green chemistry and engineering. So that is where you have to use ideas, tricks, and of course, you may not have all facilities. So you have to go and collaborate with others. You may not be expert in everything, right? I cannot claim that. But you have to keep trying. Never give up. You should never give up, I tell you. Most of the people give up, I'm telling you that. They are frustrated, unnecessarily curse their family first, wife, children, go and beat the child. Because they cannot beat the head of the department. So at least so much of angry they are taking their frustration or somebody else. Do not get frustration. Believe me, there are so many places where you can get frustrated. Don't think that I didn't, that I was born in a small village. We never had a school. I used to study in a temple. Can you believe that? But I never underestimated myself. I never thought that I am less than anybody else in the city born and bred student. Never. You have to be confident. Confidence when do you become confident? If you have knowledge, if you are read, you know your strength and weaknesses, you work on your weaknesses. Nothing is impossible. At least think this way, at least you have got a job to do something. There are some people who don't have a job also. Correct? So you have to make use of the opportunities. They say, there is a trinity, change, challenge and opportunity. Right? In that word challenge there is change also. So you have to change with effort to time. You have to take every challenge as an opportunity. And if the opportunity doesn't come, they said if there is no door, break open the door and then you will see the world is different. I'm a little philosophical here, but that's a fact that you should not give up. ठीक है? समाधान झालं? Okay, all right. So I think, I had a wonderful time this morning. This is what is required in conferences. When big people come, they talk they think that they have given a very nice lecture, very nice slides, but nobody understands it. They are happy that given a lecture, but the audience think, what did he say? What did he speak? I don't understand. So you should have talks where there is a sort of dialogue with the audience. The same thing holds in classroom, believe me. Same thing holds in classroom. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for such a thought-provoking speech, making us rethink about our daily practices and showing us ways, methods to contribute to create a healthier planet at a personal level. Above all, thank you for such an incredibly empowering speech. Now I request Dr. G.D. Yadav to felicitate Dr. Vaibhav Naravne, Associate Professor, Mechanical Engineering, KJSCE, for his significant contribution in research with 50 plus Scopus indexed journal publications. Vaibhav Naravne. He has 2,000 plus citations. Now I invite Joint Organizing Secretary, Dr. Makarand Kulkarni for vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of organizing team ICTEAH 2024, first and foremost, our heartfelt gratitude goes to our today's chief guest, Padma Shri Dr. G.D. Yadav sir, for gracing this occasion with his presence and enlightening us with his insightful words. Sir, your presence has added immense value in this event. I would like to express our gratitude to Honorable Chancellor, Somaiya Vidyavihar University, Shri Samir Somaiya sir, for his generous support in making this conference possible. We are thankful to Honorable Secretary, Somaiya Vidyavihar, Lieutenant General Jagbir Singh sir, Vice Chancellor, Somaiya Vidyavihar University, Dr. V.N. Rajashekaran Pillai, Provost, Somaiya Vidyavihar, and Somaiya Ayurvihar, Dr. Raghunath Shevgaonkar sir, Registrar, Somaiya Vidyavihar University, Dr. Nandakumar Gilke sir, for his motivation and support. We are grateful to our conference chair and principal sir, KJ Somaiya College of Engineering, Dr. Suresh Ukrande, for his constant support and valuable guidance. We are grateful to our conference co-chair and vice principal, KJ Somaiya College of Engineering, Dr. Deepak Sharma sir, for his support. We are also thankful to our sponsors, L&D Edutech and Neptune Info Solutions Private Limited. Our sincere thanks goes to the keynote speakers and session chairs for supporting this conference by accepting our invitations. We are thankful to all the reviewers for helping us in this review process. Thanks to all the head of the institutes, HODs, associate deans, organizing members, conference delegates, my colleague faculty members, support staff, and student volunteers. So thanks to everyone. Thank you all.
To be seated, we will soon commence our first invited talk.
There is a small announcement. All parallel session will start after this first invited talk. So within 2 minutes, we are starting with the first invited talk by Dr. Shailendra Sharma. So please be seated. All parallel session will be starting after this keynote talk. हे काढा पटापट. Yeah, I once again announce there is a keynote talk here itself in the auditorium. All parallel session will begin after the keynote talk. Please be seated. Shortly we are starting with the first keynote talk of the conference by Dr. Shailendra Sharma.
त्यांना येऊ द्या, करंट ऑलरेडी आहे.
sound. It is there. Now I would like to call upon stage Dr. Nandana Prabhu, Coordinator, IQSC KJSC, to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Shailendra Sharma.
Welcome one and all. It's indeed an honor to introduce the keynote speaker for the day, Dr. Shailendra D. Sharma. A big round of applause to sir. Dr. Shailendra D. Sharma worked as a professor at the Department of Aerospace Engineering, IIT Bombay. His research interest includes experimental aerohydrodynamics, focusing on measurement techniques, shear and vertical flows, turbulent mixing, flow control, cavitation noise, thermoacoustics, suppression of high-speed jet noise, and cardiovascular flows. Professor Sharma has authored numerous technical papers published in international journals and conferences. Professor Sharma has handled several research projects of national importance and offered consultancy to many industries. Post his superannuation from the IIT Bombay, Professor Sharma founded Offlows Cardiotech Private Limited, a startup of a strong group of experienced technocrats and pediatric cardiac surgeons. Professor Sharma has invented a biomedical device that is recognized through a grant of US patent. I request sir to please take over the session. We are eagerly waiting for your talk. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I think it's battery is there, yeah? चल रहा है, चल. Namaskar and good afternoon. I wish every heart in this auditorium a regular and rhythmic beating. This talk is about our experience of setting up a bio laboratory, especially cardiovascular flow laboratory in IIT Bombay, surprisingly in the Department of Aerospace Engineering. The main focus is on setting up this laboratory and developing a model which can mimic human beating heart. Layout of the talk as we will follow: anatomy and functioning of a heart, understanding a cardiac cycle, mechanical heart valves and their testing. These are prosthetic heart valves needed when the natural valve becomes diseased. Construction of left heart model, particle image velocimetry and test conditions. PIV is laser-based optical measurement technique of flow. Then, using this technique, we have obtained flow patterns in beating heart model for two different types of valves. They are mechanical valves, and effect of their orientation while implanting in the left heart model. Finally, viscous energy loss is estimated in left ventricle because it is important parameter to reduce the load on the heart. And then some concluding remarks with enough scope for students to draw their own conclusion from the talk. This is the overall picture. Heart is muscular organ located in chest slightly onto the left. It pumps the blood rich in oxygen to the body, and that oxygen, when supplied to each cell in the body, becomes deoxygenated and it returns back to the heart. So this cycle of
this circuit of circulation is called systemic circulation. Then when this deoxygenated blood returns to the heart pumps it again to lungs, where that blood absorbs oxygen from the air which we have breathed in our breathing, and then it is supplied back to the heart as oxygen-rich blood. So in the first slide here, you see the heart and then major blood vessels connected to the heart, all shown in the red color. They basically mean oxygen-rich blood supplied to the body, and purple color is deoxygenated blood returning to the body. The major blood vessels, as indicated here, are aorta, pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins, superior vena cava, and inferior vena cava. Here, superior and inferior, they are not because of their quality. The terminology used here in medical, superior means upper part of the body, inferior means lower part of the body. This aorta, which stems out from the heart, can be seen in U bend, ascending part, then there is a bend from where 3 blood vessels are going to the upper body, supplying blood to the head and 2 arms. Then descending aorta supplies oxygen-rich blood to various parts of the lower body. 1/3 of the blood goes to the upper part of the body, remaining 2/3 to the lower part of the body because of the size difference. Superior vena cava brings back deoxygenated blood from the upper body and inferior vena cava from the lower body, and these are collected in the right heart. Let's go to the slide there. It shows you various parts, cut open section of the heart, where we see heart is divided vertically in 2 parts by what is called septum, a wall of strong muscles. So we have left heart and right heart. Left heart, which is shown with red color, it manages to pump oxygen-rich blood, and purple color is deoxygenated blood, which is collected from the body and it is circulated to the lungs. Now this left and right hearts, they are further divided horizontally, making upper part as atrium and lower part as ventricle. So we have left atrium, left ventricle, right ventricle. On each heart, left or right, the atrium and
इसको दबा के रखिए, ऐसे ठीक है.
Okay. So here we see left and right hearts, they are having ventricle and atrium. Atrium and ventricle of the same side is connected through valve. So we have 2 non-written valves connecting left atrium with left ventricle and right atrium with right ventricle. So left ventricle, and then we have 2 more valves as shown here in the slide below. Pulmonary valve, which is situated in pulmonary artery, managing the flow of blood to the lungs. And aortic valve, which is basically controlling the flow of blood, oxygen-rich blood, to aorta. Then we have tricuspid valve. This valve is between right ventricle and right atrium, and mitral valve, which is between left ventricle and left atrium. Now a cut section is shown there in the bottom. Here. What we see from the top, mitral valve, which is bicuspid valve. Bicuspid means it has only two flaps. They open and close. And remaining three valves, they are tricuspid valve, means they have three flaps. When they close, it makes a symbol of Mercedes car, and it opens fully when three flaps are pushed to the wall, making circular opening. In this video, you will see the operation of these valves. Large valves, which are tricuspid valve and mitral valve, they open and close simultaneously. Similarly, smaller valves, why they are smaller? Because they operate under high pressure and flow velocity is higher. So on top you see two small valves, both with three flaps. They are also opening and closing simultaneously. But the smaller valves, when they open, larger valves are closed. And when larger valves open, smaller valves are closed. Okay. Here we understand how the heart works, and the cycle is called cardiac cycle. And this is not working. Okay, here we are. So what is shown here, heart functioning, cut open section so that you can see the interior details. Purple color deoxygenated blood is being pumped to the pulmonary artery, and that is taking the blood to the lungs. Red oxygen-rich blood is pumped to the body from left ventricle, and what you see these yellow lines, they are basically electric wiring of the heart. Just now you saw the sinus node, which is situated on top of right atrium. That is where this electrical pulse is generated, and through this wiring it is sent to the wall and septum of the heart, which activates the heart pulsation. So it contracts and expands. The rhythmic beating of heart is important, and that is managed by this electric pulsation. If that goes wrong, heart will have uneven beating, and it is then supported by what is called pacemaker. Okay. Now, this red side, we have okay. It's too big. Okay, here the left ventricle, when it opens, it expands. Then that is called diastole, part of the cardiac cycle. What happens? The expansion of this left ventricle reduces the pressure compared to the pressure in atrium, and this mitral valve opens. So the blood flow will rush to the left ventricle. that is called diastole, means blood is being collected in the ventricle. And when there is a contraction of the heart, the blood will go through the aorta to the body, and that part of the cycle is called systole. So diastole and systole, these are two parts of one cardiac cycle. If we look at the picture here, the diastole is shown broader on time scale compared to the systole. Nearly 37% of the cardiac cycle is systole, means it is quicker. For the same quantity of blood to be supplied in smaller time, the flow has to be with higher velocity. And what we see there, velocity against the cycle time, we have two waves in diastole, E wave and A wave. E wave is passive because the flow of blood from left atrium to left ventricle is under pressure gradient due to the expansion of left ventricle. So that is a majority of flow filling the left ventricle. And then A wave is active wave, that is due to momentary contraction of left atrium pushing the blood with higher velocity into left ventricle. Now whether the diastole is acceptable, is it normal? So what we find here, dt is deceleration time, and how it is obtained is shown there, that from the peak AE along the curve you draw the line and that meets the x-axis. So the dt is the time, deceleration time. When E by A, that is the velocity ratio, is within 0.7 to 1.5 times, along with dt being greater than 140 milliseconds, then the diastole is supposed to be normal. So that is how doctors will also tell whether the diastole is proper or not. It means heart is working properly or not. So these are some engineering numbers, obtained from measurement. So here I would like to tell you that it is basically medical talk from engineering perspective. Then size of left ventricle. Actually all sizes are measured by doctor, but left ventricle is very important because that is playing the major role in cardiac cycle. So left ventricle size, ED is end of diastole, means largest size of the left ventricle. And ES is early systole, it means it's the smallest size of left ventricle. So for female, the ED is about 80 ml and ES is 34 ml. It means if you take the difference between these two volumes, that is the stroke volume. So much of blood is pushed into the body. And for male, it is ED is 112 and ES is 40 ml. So stroke volume I just explained. And what is called one parameter, ejection fraction. Okay. Ejection fraction is how much is the stroke volume as a percentage of the largest volume of left ventricle when it is at the end of diastole. So that normal range is between 50 to 70%. What it means, when the heart contracts, never 100% of the blood will be pumped. Something like minimum 30% will remain in the heart. Otherwise there will be vacuum. Okay. And if ejection fraction drops below 50%, there is a problem that enough blood is not being circulated to the body. So here I now start telling you about our story, how we started making this model in the laboratory and what we observed. So these are two different types of valves. Both are mechanical heart valves, prosthetic. Left side you see, it is monoleaflet valve, means single disc in the ring which can oscillate. It can close the ring completely and it can open partially. Okay, so Medtronic and Biot-Shelley, there are two different valves. Biot-Shelley valve, because of its failure, has been stopped. And what you see here, when the valve opens, there are two orifices. One is major orifice, other one is minor orifice. Earlier it was thought that the ratio of these two orifice opening is going to divide the flow through the valve, but that is not true when the testing was done. The bileaflet valves, they are named as St. Jude heart valves. There are many other brands also available. These are the real valves which are implanted in patient. It's not a valve which is made in the laboratory. These are real valves. The bileaflet valve is like two doors opening and closing. Now in the below here, schematically we show orientation. That is what we have adopted in our study. The valve can be rotated and its orientation can be changed. That is what normally surgeons do after implantation of valve before closing the chest. They will rotate the valve, put it at some optimum orientation. So bileaflet valve, if it is the axis of that vertical, we call 90 degree. If it is horizontal, it is 180 or 0 degree. Monoleaflet valve, major orifice, if it is facing on positive x-axis, it is 180 degree and vertical is 90. And 0 degree is minor axis facing negative x-axis. Now, why we need this valve? Because if the valve, due to its disease, natural valve, becomes surgically irreparable, we need to change the valve. There are different types of valves. Bio valve is also there. I am not going to discuss here. Mechanical valves are long lasting compared to bio valves. So bio valves are put in patients who have reached certain age, higher age bracket, and young people, for them mechanical heart valve is preferred. What are the materials used? There are various materials and not limited to this, there may be many more. This is a very simple setup that we developed. What we did, we went to the hospitals and collected some of those rejected components and assembled here. So what you see, the loop of conduit, here let us start with the number 1, fluid reservoir. Then one-way flow conduit is that making this circuit, and 2 monoleaflet valves are put, which were shown earlier. Laser sheet to illuminate the flow field, and then we have high-speed camera to capture the image. Number 10 is our local pump. It is spring-loaded bellow, and we operated it manually. Remember, it was very, very simple, very crude, let me call it, because there was no control except our own judgment. 101, it means 1 second, 102, like that we were doing, and we maintained 1 Hertz cycle rate, means 60 beats in 1 minute. Okay. What we got out of this? We took this way back in 98 to Hinduja Hospital. At that time, Dr. Neetu Mandke, many of you may be knowing that name, very famous heart surgeon. So we requested him, and in his echo Doppler test laboratory, we tested this equipment. Left side, in place of patient, you see our equipment, and right side, surprisingly, these are the results. They are not very different from what one gets from the patient. In systole, we got about 101 centimeter per second to 105 centimeter per second flow speed. And in below, what you see, regurgitation. Regurgitation is, valve is supposed to be one way. But if it becomes diseased, there is some problem, then flow comes back, it leaks through certain openings when valve is not fully closed after completing systole. So there will be some blood which will come back, and that is shown through bioxelic valve, that about 34 to 30 centimeter per second, 2 peaks you can see there. So this was our first success of testing real mechanical heart valve in our simple test setup. This video, Medtronic valve is being tested, and what you see, green color is because of the laser light color, and these small white dots, these are the particles, naphthalene particles, crushed and put in the liquid to mark the flow, and under laser sheet you are able to see the movement of that. It's basically a single particle, but when you see a line, it means it is accelerating so much that instead of one single particle image, you see a line. Within that time, it has crossed so much of distance. So you see the major orifice towards below, and minor orifice is towards up there. So when valve opens, it allows the flow to go through the opening, but part of the flap is going against the flow direction. So momentarily it pushes the flow back, and when it is settled in position, then two orifices, minor and major, will allow the flow to go. So what you see, majority of flow is going through the major orifice with high acceleration. It has been observed that mechanical heart valve, when operated, it generates cavitation. If you are familiar with the term cavitation in water flow, it is because of the pressure in the flow field becoming lower than the vapor pressure of the liquid, and then the bubble forms from that liquid. So that has been observed in mechanical heart valves, especially monoleaflet valves, and that should be avoided, because if the cavitation occurs inside the heart in blood, it will destroy the blood. So there are many significant observations that help a medical device in improving its design. We wanted to see the consistency in our measurement. So 3 different cycles were chosen, and their time frame was selected, which was same as t is equal to 0 in 3 cycles, and 0.07, 0.14, 0.2, like that. And what you see, that you can see the similarity of flow pattern for the same time frame from 3 different cycles. It means the result, the observation what we have is reliable. Okay, now comes the real hurdle that we faced. We had aimed to develop a model which will mimic the heart of human being. It means it should be flexible. Then, since we are using PIV technique to measure the flow, it should be transparent. And when we have this valve in water, the refractive index of this material with glass of the container and water all should match. You know the importance of matching the refractive index. Otherwise there will be deviation of light from its path and we will get the image elsewhere. So we got this stainless steel mold and core with mirror finish, and used Dow Corning silicon. The number is MS1003. Why we chose that? Because there is a softness of the final product which matters with its refractive index. And this chemical, basically it has two components, and when they are mixed in equal quantity, that starts making, it starts setting actually. And in the gap of about 2 nm between the core and mold, when it was poured, we had to take care. We in fact faced several failures because air bubbles used to be trapped in that 2 mm gap. And when we take out this sac from the mold, that air bubble spoils the quality because there will be change in the light sheet when it passes through the air bubble. So we had to reject that. So finally we had to use the vibrator and make sure that there is no air bubble left, and what you see is the product here, transparent sac, which is almost matching the size of left ventricle. The apex here of this sac is basically the lower part of the heart, and then top is called base, which is made from 3D printing, that is the left ventricle base, where provision is there for aorta connection, and it is pulmonary vein coming from heart or coming from lung and connected to left atrium. Okay, so this video, let me first show what you see here, this pump, which is the reciprocating pump, and before that was its controller. This is the only pump in the country which we imported from Canada. I did not have enough money, so I just requested them, they reduced the price by 50%. What you saw was the source of laser, then there is a probe which is flexible, connected with fiber optics. This is a major chamber which is filled with water and the liquid inside the model. So what we have this left heart model. This is a high speed camera. That probe which you see with the white cover is basically laser sheet. Now you can see the working of this valve. One closes, the other one opens. And it's very difficult to believe that it is closing and opening, because most of the time it is open only, because momentarily it closes. You know, it's so fast. So with naked eye you can't judge. You have to be, you know, depending on the high speed camera. So this was just the first trial, and then we completed the circuit, introduced some particles so that one can see the motion, and as you can see, this is atrium. You can see the valve opening. So major orifice is on the left side, and that is pushing the flow and making anti-clockwise vortex, whereas the outlet is on the left. So this is not good, because you have a vortex and you want the flow to cut across the vortex and exit from the aorta. So that's not good. So here itself we know that this orientation is not correct. This is a schematic simplifying the same arrangement which we saw in the video. What is PIV? This technique, which is based on the laser, here we seed the flow, because the flow is very clean, then there will not be any image when the laser light cuts that flow field. So we seed the flow with neutrally buoyant particles. Then flow is illuminated using the thin laser sheet. And what is important here is camera and the laser, they are synchronized. This laser is not continuous laser, it is basically giving burst, it is in pulsation. So these both are synchronized. So whenever there is a laser coming, camera shutter is open, it takes the image. So two images are captured with a small time gap between them. Okay, and let us come to the right side. So let's say there are two images separated by a time delta t, which is very, very small, and we mark the particles in both the frames, like x1, y1 shown in the frame 1, x2, y2, x1 and x2, they are the same particles. y1 is the particle in first frame, its position is different, which is marked as y2. Okay, so now you have the part, and I will not discuss here how you identify the particle. It should be same particle in both the frames. So now you have the displacement of that particle in time delta t. So from displacement you can obtain the velocity in x direction from x2 minus x1, which is delta x, divided by delta t will give you u, y2 minus y1, it is delta y, displacement in vertical direction, y direction, and divided by delta t will give you v. Okay, so that is how we get the velocity components from PIV. Now in our experiments, many simplifications that we had to make. The reasons can be explained later. Let us look at what we had in left ventricle as fluid. So in that, heartbeat was fixed as the 60 beats per minute, means 1 beat per second, which is not true, because normally it could be true also, but normally 70, 72 is the heartbeat rate for a healthy person, that is what we believe. So this is less than 1 beat is less than 1 second in real case. Here it is 1 beat per second. Then ventricle volume was 110 ml. The stroke volume is 65 milliliter. So this can be fixed with our super pump. So you already have the ventricle volume and stroke volume. So 65 divided by 110, that will give you 59%. So this is the ejection fraction. Then the test liquid was water plus glycerin. The mixture appropriately was mixed so that its liquid specific gravity is 1.1 and its refractive index matches with the glass. Seeding particles which were used, they had 20 micron diameter. Okay, then it is saying ascending iota to descending iota outflow. What flow goes to the upper body is 34% of the total cardiac output, and remaining 66% will go to the lower part. Duration of systole and diastole. That was also again 40% and 60% of the cardiac cycle time. And in PIV, it was a high speed PIV where 100 pairs of frames could be captured per second. And between two frames, there has to be, the pair of frames. Between two frames, the time gap, that delta t, was 2 milliseconds. And we acquired data for two different types of mechanical heart valves, monoleaflet and bileaflet. So for monoleaflet, since it was of less importance to us, these days mostly bileaflet valve is preferred. So only 15 seconds we acquired the data for monoleaflet valve, whereas for 50 seconds we acquired data for bileaflet valve. It appears a small time, but the data size is huge, very difficult to manage. There what we see instead of the typical systole and diastole waveform, where we saw E wave, A wave, we did not have that. Instead, we prefer to have sinusoidal wave, because we first wanted to check whether our system is working, and then from whatever results we are getting, we will try to understand the implication of that. So since it is done, now the real thing is doable. We can do that also. So 60% of the cardiac cycle is diastole and 40% is systole. And then this cycle, we say cardiac cycle, is divided into number of phases. Here 20 phase, means 20 time frame basically. So if it is 1 second, then each phase will be 50 milliseconds, because 20 phases are chosen. Certain fluid mechanics parameters which we will use for assessment of the heart functioning. Velocity, that is the net velocity, which we obtain from u square plus v square root of that. Then vorticity, not difficult for anybody who has understood the fluid mechanics. Vorticity is basically a particle while moving, is it spinning about its own axis? If it is not spinning about its own axis, it is irrotational flow. And rotational flow, when the particle is spinning about its own axis while moving in the flow. Strain is again, because of the velocity gradient, certain velocity gradient, you have vorticity which will make the fluid particle to rotate. Then if the velocity gradient is in different direction, you have strain. It means it will elongate the particle along one axis and it will compress the same particle along perpendicular axis. This strain plays important role here, is because this is what causes the energy loss, and that is obtained from this expression where strain square for 3-dimensional domain, you take the sum of all the phases, that sigma is basically from phase 1 to phase n, last phase, and mu is viscosity of the fluid. Now since our measurement is planar, it is 2-dimensional because laser sheet, if you want to get the quantity as shown by triple integration, we need to make various planes in the same ventricle parallel to each other and integrate it along the thickness also. So when it is a single plane, we take energy loss per unit length. So that is why the dou z is gone from there and it's only integrating over the area. So this is our first preliminary result of PIV. Just 20 cardiac cycles were acquired and we chose one particular phase. Right side you see the cycle, and that is where you have diastole. On top star is shown. I don't know whether it is visible from the back, but one particular phase was chosen and we acquired the image only for that particular phase in all 20 cycles. So what we see, if it is a mechanical system, it should repeat and all 20 images should be identical. But remember, it is fluid mechanics and that too turbulent, unsteady. So you see the difference in these images, but still global picture is what? You have some rotary motion when the flow is being sucked in left ventricle. So little difference is there, but overall it gives you the sense that yes, there is a similarity between these different frames. So now monoleaflet valve, all the results are for monoleaflet valve. Initial diastole, the arrow is indicating on the wave cardiac cycle where we have chosen this frame. The ventricle is just getting filled initially. Okay. Now, diastole, the filling is more rapid, it is reaching its peak, and this is the picture. So this is the picture which was shown for those 20 cycles in the very first slide which I showed. You are able to see anti-clockwise vortex? These are all from instantaneous pictures. Now it is diastole is over, beginning of systole. It means it is going to contract and send the blood out from heart to the aorta. Now the movement is more intense here. Systole has reached its peak. It means the flow with maximum velocity. And what we find here, there is a caving in of one of the walls. We expected it to contract symmetrically. Okay, because the pressure outside this sac is constant, same everywhere. But inside pressure is having difference. So wherever pressure is low, that side of the wall is caving in. So this was one important observation that we had, and we could realize what we should do to correct it. But we have not corrected, I am not showing that result. So here it is. You see these arrows are moving very rapidly. So it is because of the very quick contraction. Now it is end of systole. It means the minimum size of left ventricle. No blood is left for, for pumping out. And valve is about to close. So you see there is a flow inside locally rotating, but no focused vortex is seen here. Now come to what we do with these instantaneous pictures, which are different from each other little bit because of the turbulence. So we use the technique what is called phase averaging. So as I said, we captured image of 50 cycles, 50 cardiac cycles. So we had n is equal to 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And each cycle is divided into 20 phases. Okay. Now what we do, we pick one phase from all the cycles. Like here what is shown, if you take phase, let's say there, T31 plus T32 plus T33 plus going up to T3n. It means third phase of each cycle. Then we sum up and divide by number of cycles. So you get the average of that phase, particular phase. So you get phase averaging for all the cycles, and I will show you the result. So you have now this average result for velocity, and that side is vorticity along with streamlines, which is showing you the direction of flow. It is highly 3D flow. Of that we have cut a 2D plane, and so you will not be able to see what flow is normal to this plane, because flow is 3-dimensional, image is 2-dimensional. So you cannot satisfy continuity equation from this picture, because flow is three-dimensional. So the third component of that continuity equation will be missing here. And bileaflet valve, mitral valve is 90 degree. You can see the top picture there. And aortic valve is 0 degree, which is horizontal. Early diastole, mid diastole, and late diastole. So this is ED, MD, LD. And similarly for systole, early systole, mid systole, and late systole. You will appreciate when I show the video. This is when valve at aortic position is changed by 90 degree. Orientation is from 0 to 90 degree. So both the valves are now 90 degree. If I take you back to the caving in this particular case is on right side. It is, the wall is caving in. Whereas here it is on the left side. So what has been done? Only aortic valve orientation is changed, and it changes the inside flow in the sac. The pressure difference will result in caving in from different directions, and so the flow pattern also will change. So this is when the flow is entering the sac. This is when both are mitral valve and aortic valve both are at 90 degree. There mitral valve is 90 degree. Actually mitral valve being 90 degree is similar to the natural configuration. The mitral valve, natural mitral valve is towards the wall of the sac. So that is, whereas aortic valve, bileaflet valve will have no particular direction, because the aortic valve is 3 cusp which will open and make perfect circular opening, whereas here 2 bileaflets will never give you symmetry. It will always have asymmetry and presence in the center of the orifice. So you find the difference in the flow pattern. Now in this case, the mitral valve instead of 90 degree is put in 0 degree, which is unnatural, but we wanted to see the effect of that. And aortic valve is again oriented in 2 directions, 0 degree and 90 degree. The main observation here is mitral valve is the one which allows the flow from left atrium to fill the left ventricle. So it should come straight. And here is the aortic valve where the flow should exit from. Okay, so natural flow should be anti-clockwise, but what we find here it is, natural flow should be clockwise, but what we find here it is anti-clockwise, so not preferred. Vortex should form, that is important. In fact, this is one of the index measuring the health of the heart. In diastole, when it is filling, whether the blood makes vortex. If there is a strong vortex, it sucks the flow from the atrium, which is very good for the heart. Less energy is required. This is monoleaflet valve. Here it will be more clear, the vertical pattern. You see from the mitral valve, red color, all the vectors showing the flow coming, and there are two vortices. It is like a jet coming, making the vortex ring. This is a cut section, so you see only two vortices, otherwise there is a vortex ring. And that is very good for the heart. So performance wise, monoleaflet valve is showing better. There also, we see two distinct vortices. Here again, orientation of the valve is changed and anti-clockwise vortex. Earlier what we saw was the clockwise vortex. This is a strain field for two different orientations of bileaflet valve, and it indicates the stretching of fluid particle in two different orthogonal directions. नहीं हो गया, खत्म हो गया. Using this strain field, we estimated the energy loss and plotted against the phase. So what we see, energy loss for monoleaflet valve is much higher compared to bileaflet valve. Plus, energy loss is almost in the middle of diastole for monoleaflet valve, whereas it is late towards the end of diastole for bileaflet valve. And when you integrate the area between these curves, you get the net energy loss. And highest energy loss which we got for mechanical heart valve with monoleaflet, orientation 180 degree and 180 degree at mitral and aortic positions, that was used to normalize the net energy of rest of the orientations. And we find that minimum energy loss is when mitral valve and aortic valve are with 0, 0 and 0, 90 degrees. Okay, this is just to give you the overall picture of bileaflet valve, and this is monoleaflet valve. So from this limited study, what we can conclude that LV flow, that is left ventricle flow pattern, strongly depends on the types of prosthetic valves which are used and its orientation. Then left ventricle filling is affected by the orientation of the aortic valve, even though it is closed. Mitral valve is not touched, but aortic valve orientation is changed, and that is changing the flow pattern. So it means flow remembers the memory of aortic valve. So it is always the combination of these two valves. And in vitro study of left ventricle flow has seemingly great potential in assisting cardiac surgeons to optimize the implantation of this valve, which can be efficiently used for reducing the viscous energy loss. And the most important observation is that the attempt which we have made for the very first time in the country has a lot of promise, and it has a long way to go. What is required? Like I was working as a one-man army, but what we require is a strong team of cardiac surgeons, fluid mechanists, and engineers. The material which I have taken for this talk is from Dr. Sanjeev Das Rao's MTech work. He is a cardiac surgeon himself, but very enthusiastic in learning fluid mechanics. So he came to IIT Bombay from Hyderabad just to learn the mechanical aspect of heart valve. And Satish Kumar, who did PhD. So majority of the work is from his PhD. Thank you. There are so many question marks, but I think there will not be so many questions. But if there is any. I was just wondering what I will do next. I have come out of IIT. I have a lot of material with me, physically. And I thought this could be the proper ground if I would like to offer that we can set up cardiovascular flow laboratory here in Somaya. It all depends on the taker. No, not 3D printing. 3D printing is possible, but we have not reached that stage. Because I have tried elsewhere also, Singapore, US, and it was difficult. Or maybe they didn't want to share. But what is important that you start everything with your own hands, with raw material, indigenously, you know. I had tough time in getting this biomedical grade silicone rubber. What I got, lot of silicone industrial grade. So that's the difficulty.
Yeah.
Yes. But it was very difficult. They provided and it was nearing its expiry date.
Yeah. So, Sharma sir, this is Dr. Kashinath. It's a nice presentation and really good memories. The way you've been presented for different, flow patterns. Since, what you've shown here, sir, it's just the orientation and then just changing orientation. There is a lot of vortex has been changed and you already had a preliminary studies. See, there are a lot of, there are heart surgeons doing the surgeries and more often there are mechanical valves also being implanted. So, it's more on the skill or it's more on the science. So, what is your take on after doing this, whatever limited understanding you have? Because changing only us, see, we had from 0, 180, then 90 kind of stuff which you change the valve position. So, there are, what is your take to say to doctors?
No.
Yeah.
See, this one is very elementary.
Yes.
Okay. And what I have presented here is only a tip of iceberg. I have seen doctors, I have witnessed many cardiac surgeries, including the TAVI. What these doctors do, depending on the case that is brought to them, because each human being is a different geometry. You cannot generalize. Okay? So first take the image, do your study in vitro outside before opening the chest. You can't do anything if you have opened the chest and you don't know what to do. Okay. So, in fact, being mechanical engineer, standing by the side of surgeon, my hands itch, like you should do this, should do that, because it is so common. You have not studied medical, they have not studied engineering, but you have a common thing. You stand together and you know subject better. So there I asked, how do you orient it? He says, okay, for this configuration, if I turn the valve to 2 o'clock position, now you know. It's not 90 or 100 or 180. Okay. So 9 o'clock, 2 o'clock, like that they talk. So it all depends, and you cannot see after, stitching. Yeah. Okay. So it's very, very challenging. And this facility is not there, cannot be procured, and you should not procure, you should develop. Okay, so what I'm saying is a lot of simplicity has gone into this. Correct size of the valve is not selected. The correct cycle is not selected. Okay, the biggest mistake, I justified my work saying orientation of this valve is changing the pressure field inside the sac. That is why from one side it is caving in, other side it is not caving in. But without doing anything, I can make this disappear. What was happening? The student who got the slot in night time to use LDV, this PIV, had limited time. He started with diastole, means when it was in neutral position, the sac was in neutral position, he thought it is completely filled. So that was diastole. And his stroke started with systole, so compression. So that was the problem. If I had taken that as the beginning of systole, and diastole is expanding. Expanding would have been, uniformly symmetrical about the vertical axis. Okay. There are other aspects also. These two valves, they are not in one plane. They are about 135 degree. So, which we have chosen, 135 degree. But mitral valve is perfectly vertical, whereas in our case it is inclined. And that's the reason the flow should have gone to the wall, it is coming in the center and changing the vortex direction. So many things to learn.
Yeah, I think we'll restrict the question and answer. Maybe during the breaks, further questions can be taken up. Thank you, Professor Sharma. I think.
Thank you, Dr. Shailendra Sharma, for your informative session. Now I request Dr. Raghunath Shivgavkar sir, Pro-Host, to felicitate Dr. Shailendra Sharma.
Hi.
Excellent.
And aerospace.
Yeah, there is going to heart is something very.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, all the delegates. We are running out of schedule, but then still we will stick to the schedule. So all the presenters are requested to rush to the presentation hall. So within 5 minutes, we will start with all oral presentations.